Today, we discuss all things 110 in your Dynasty Superflex rookie draft. We discuss who we are considering to pick, trades we have made in our leagues, trades from Real League, as well as meta trade strategy, and who we are ultimately picking here as a podcast. Stick around for all that and more. And welcome into the Dino Construction Podcast. Justin, joined by David and JP. We have a fun one here for us today. We're going to start jumping right into it. But first, hit that like, hit that subscribe so you don't miss the 111, 112 that are coming out the next couple of days, as well as 101 to 109 in the episode description below. That being said, David, who have we picked so far up to this point in our draft series?
Prize at the top, 101, Ashton Janty. Actually, it wasn't a surprise. 102, we went wide receiver Tet McMillan. Kind of an unpopular pick at this point, so I think we're standing by it. 103, future Tennessee Titan quarterback Cam Ward. 104, Omarion Hampton. 105, Travion Henderson. 106, Tyler Warren. This is a 175 Titan premium that we're mocking here. 107, wide receiver Emeka Egbuka. And then 108, 109, the CU prospects Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, in that order.
Yeah, we might end up having these players in a different order any given day, just depending on what we've had for breakfast. All in all, relatively stand by the process of who we have here. You can see some pieces potentially moving around. Let us know in the comments below what we've got wrong. JP, who are we considering here at the 110 in this exercise?
We have a couple of running backs here in Caleb Johnson of Iowa. We have Quinn Judkins out of Ohio State. We got one tight end here with Colston Loveland out of Michigan. And also, we have wide receivers Luther Burden, Matthew Golden of Texas, and Jackson Dart of Ole Miss, who has been getting some first-round buzz, so he could definitely be in this conversation.
Hard to ignore a first-round QB, even if they're not one we necessarily love as a prospect. Could be Kenny Pickett, but last year we thought Bo Nick probably were Kenny Pickett. So,
hey, I like Bo Nix, especially to the Broncos.
Yeah, but at this point, pre-draft, we probably kind of thought that they were more Kenny Pickett than something else, I think. Or at least we weren't as excited about them. So before we go ahead and make our pick here, we're going to discuss some trades in Real Leagues. I got one here from a trade I actually made, a orphan I took over about a year ago. I'm switching to contending. Traded in a start 10, half PPR for all players, one tight end premium, so half point PPR for a wide receiver, full PPR for tight ends. I got Hawkinson. I traded the 110. Which side do you guys like here in this type of deal?
I'm cool with, if you're trying to compete, you need a tight end there. I'm cool with trading that for Hawkinson.
Yeah, with the tight end premium, I mean, he's pretty valuable, and I doubt Tyler Warren's going to be on the clock. Colston Loveland, I really like him as a prospect, but if you're contending, you can't really rely on a rookie tight end.
I was pretty happy with that trade. I've gone up and down on it over the last month, from happy to unhappy to happy to unhappy, as you know, rookie fever kicks in, etc. But I think it's a pretty good deal. Let's look at some other veteran options at the wide receiver position. David, for all these here, I'm not putting number of starters because they are 1-for-1s. I'm just more curious in a vacuum. 110 or Jalen Waddle?
Yeah, I'll take the 110. I'm not super high on Waddle myself. Actually, kind of starting to get up there in age. I think he's still 26, maybe 27 before the season, if I remember correctly, or during the season, something like that. Tyreek Hill's still there. Tua's still his quarterback, and I kind of like Tua, don't get me wrong, but I don't know. He hasn't been very good since his first couple of years in the league, where we all thought he was going to explode. I think a lot of it's name value at this point. I think the 110 is a better asset and going to result in a more productive player.
Yeah, I think I'd probably re-roll that too. I know there's that Tyreek Hill news, not news, noise, whatever you want to call it, but probably sticking around. Who really wants to pay for Tyreek Hill at this point and take on all that mental headache? So I think I can agree there. JP, 110 or DJ Moore, your guy?
Yeah, I think it could go either way here. I think that Luther Burden could be off the board as well as Emeka Egbuka. So if you're looking to secure a wide receiver, I think that this is not a bad move at all. I personally think with Ben Johnson there that DJ Moore is going to have a good year. So I could see myself taking DJ Moore if I wanted to spend it on a receiver here.
A little bit of a theme trading for receivers with this pick. I was noticing on Keep Trade Cut all over the place. Most of these guys I saw multiple trades for, including this one. I noticed multiple trades of the 110 for Jordan Addison. David, what side are you taking here?
Again, I think I'm going to side with the pick. I do like Addison a little bit more than Waddle, but he's in a crowded room with, we assume, a quarterback that's never played in the NFL before taking over. He's a highly touted prospect. He was picked high. We expect him to be solid at least, but is he going to be able to feed Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson? If they add a running back, then you've got a couple running backs there that are going to take some production. So I think I'm higher on Addison than most from the sounds of it, but I still think I'm taking the 110 here.
And last question here, JP, regarding players. 110 or DK Metcalf?
Yeah, I'm definitely siding with the 110 here. I think DJ Moore, who I said I would take, I think he's going to be better than DK Metcalf this year. I just think Metcalf's fallen off, and I don't love the situation in Pittsburgh, so I'm going to take the 110 here.
I think I might personally take Metcalf.
You like him?
I do. I'm a sucker for some Metcalf. I think he's got some ceiling and a pretty safe floor. I think he's an alpha, and I think JSN better wide receiver than Pickens. So I think Metcalf's situation actually this year, target competition wise, is better, and I think Aaron Rodgers is going to feed him, or Jackson Dart, or who knows. But I'm hopeful.
Quarterbacks just don't excite me.
Last question here. Gonna ask David first, and then JP. 110 or a 26 first. I know in the last episode we had a little bit of a split opinion from both of you guys, which was like, if I'm rebuilding, I'm gonna take the 26 first over the 109. And if I'm contending, I might be more likely to draft at the 109, especially some of the running backs we might have available there, other positions. Curious where we're at here.
Yeah, I think for me, and I'm pretty sure I said it in the 109 video, but that was kind of my right on the fence pick there. I do think 109 has a decent shot to be the back end of the tier that starts at 105 for us. I do think 110 is probably going to be in that next tier, that late first, early second, however it ends up falling. So I'm going to go ahead and take the 26 first in almost every situation. I think if you are trying to compete and you really feel like your depth is lacking, you need whether it's a starter or just someone you can start. I know if you think the 110 can help you win a championship, go from not competing to competing like that is probably not going to. But there are times when you're building through the off season, and this was an asset you counted on for production. So if that's the case, I think I could see holding on to 110 at least until you're on the clock. Pretty much every other situation, which is most of them, I'm going to take the 26 first.
Yeah, I would go ahead and take the 26 first as well. I was kind of curious though, David, if you're on the clock and you get this offer and Luther Burden's on the clock, what are you doing in that situation?
I think at that point I'll have knowledge about where he went and when he went in the draft, which would help inform this decision slightly. Don't get me wrong. Probably going to take my guy, though. I have a Devi league and a league that's drafted, and I have him in both of those so far. And I'm set up to get him in a few more leagues probably with the range of the picks that I have. So I don't want to be overexposed. I'm a huge fan. I don't want to be overexposed. So that factors into, in a vacuum, not considering anything else in the world, I'd probably have to take Burden still because, he's my guy.
And are we considering adding something to this? Let's say a late third, 309 or later. Would we add a 309 or later to the 110 to roll it over, David?
Like I said, unless I'm in that situation where I want to hold on to the 110, in which case obviously I wouldn't add to it. But pretty much all the other situations, a late third doesn't.
Yeah, I agree. They're just squeezing you for a little bit in a late third. It really isn't much for when you just look at the hit rate and everything.
All right, and moving on from some of these trades we saw on dynasty-daddy.com. Don't know if we shouted it out, but that's where we get them. Great resource. Like I said, I noticed a lot of targeting this wide receiver, targeting that wide receiver. First question, which we've kind of touched on in some other picks in this series. If you need wide receiver, would you rather be trying to hold on to this pick until you're on the clock, hoping that you can find whether it's Ibuka, Hunter, Burden, or if you have to settle for Golden, who at this point we're a little bit lower on with everything we know about him, his profile, and not having a landing spot or draft capital? Would you rather get a rookie than any of the types of names if you know wide receiver is the direction you want to go? I'm going to go JP first, then David.
I really like Ibuka and Burden, but I think that in a lot of leagues, they probably will be off the board. Travis Hunter probably included as well. I could wait until I'm on the clock, and if there's somebody like a Shador Sanders or Judkins and somebody loves them, maybe I can wait for that situation. But I'm not opposed to just going and get the wide receiver. Like I said, DJ Moore, I think he's a pretty good target. I don't think you're going to get a Devontae Smith, but maybe if you like a Jordan Addison, I don't think that's a terrible target as well. I'm not a huge Zay Flowers guy at this point, but I think he's probably right in that range. There's not a lot of guys we love right in that specific range. I mean, you're looking at next on Q trade cut, you're looking at Waddle, DK Metcalf, McLaurin. Chris Olave is in there. I know he's more risky. Dave and I really like him, so I think if you could get him for the 110. I personally like it. I think he's just a darn good player. Although Derek Carr, there's rumors that he might miss this season. Now they might draft a quarterback. He might have Shador Sanders throwing the ball. But yeah, I'm not against being proactive to get a wide receiver.
I don't really love like the straight across the board value for the 110 for a receiver. We kind of explored that earlier. I think we took the pick every time pretty much. I know. Well, no, JP took DJ Moore, right? Which is fair. I think for me, if I can get a plus on, a DJ Moore or DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, that's awesome. If I can get a plus on, probably a bigger plus, but on like Mike Evans, Devontae Adams, something like that. I'm not against that or exploring that at the very least. Or if I can add to this pick and get in the range of like T. Higgins, Roman Dunze, something like that, I'm okay with it. If not, I'm happy to hang out here and see how the draft falls. If it starts, receiver heavy early, maybe I got to start shopping the pick a little more aggressively. But if that's happening, that means guys are falling. So you might have like Ty Warren or Travion Henderson or something that you definitely didn't expect at this point. You might have more takers than you did when you were shopping the pick before the draft. Like I said, I would explore some things, but I would not feel pressed to make a move that I wasn't happy with.
Yeah, it's a weird range for wide receiver. I think you're probably going to be happier if you need running back at this pick than if you need wide receiver, unless the board falls the right way in your league, which is, of course, always possible. And then something we haven't really touched on as much. We've usually been talking 26 first, rolling over into future first. Just want to touch on the price point of the 110 or a 27 first. Does that change at all for you guys? I'm going to go David first, then JP this time. Walk me through how you would strategize in that question situation scenario.
Well, I think we're in a unique time frame for that. What I mean by that is people aren't very high on the 26 class, and the 27 class looks absolutely loaded right now. I know some people are like, well, it's just a couple of receivers at the top. That receiver class, that freshman receiver class incoming into college last year, more than just two guys, trust me on that one. Some decent quarterbacks looking to, obviously that's a lot of projection to go all the way out to 2027. But I think even just market value based on how people are talking about it, 27 firsts are basically the same as 26 right now as far as value goes, maybe even valued higher by some people. So I'll take it. I love the 27 class. Like normally, you want the sooner pick because it's going to peak in value sooner. So I think I still would prefer 26. I'm not quite on the 27 over 26 picks right now, but I do agree that they're very close in value. So at this point, I'm still happy to take a 27 first, especially if I'm competing. If you turn a 27 first into Ryan Williams, Jeremiah Smith in 2 years, your window for competing just got a lot bigger.
That class looks really strong, and some people might value that 27 pick more, honestly. I know a lot of people are obsessed with that class, and there's also the upside that a guy like Lenore Sellers or Arch Manning, who could be in this 2026 class, people are thinking they could be in the 2027 class. I know that the Mannings have said they want Arch to stay through his senior year, which would put him in the 2027 draft. And there's already guys like Dylan Raiola, DJ Lagway, these really, really high-end quarterbacks that showed really good flashes as freshmen in college. I mean, I know we're talking way down the road, but I just think that it is possible that you might run into that with the 27 first being valued higher.
The other thing that's valuable about that 27 first before we move on is just going to stay liquid longer than a 26 first, right? So you're able to use it as buying power for a longer period of time, right? We're talking about like trying to roll first over to future draft capital. The reason we want to do that potentially is so that we can spend it on what we specifically need when we need it, when we know what's producing, etc. So, I mean, just staying more liquid for a longer period of time if you have a lot of assets already and you don't necessarily need more players on your roster, but liquidity is good and also be a nice play. All right, moving on. We're going to decide none of these trade options are for us. We don't like those wide receivers. We didn't feel great about rolling over to a first because we decided we want to try to stick and pick. And let's make our cases for our players here. I'm going to start making the case again for Quinn Judkins because I just refuse. I'm not a good podcast member, not a good team member, and I refuse to make a case or agree or be the person that chooses the next guy. So am I the problem, guys? Never mind, I don't want to know. So Quinn Judkins here. Talked about him last episode. I've talked about him all off season. Just a phenomenal athlete, 9.9 relative athletic score, so 99th percentile of all running back going to the combine in athletic score. That's kind of a combination of size and speed. everything that he tested. 4.4840. Love to see it. Great broad jump, 11 feet. Great speed score, 109.7. Projected day 2 capital. A lot of people see him going second round, potentially early second round. We have him as RB4 as a podcast. And this is a guy who broke out as a freshman in the SEC. Did it for 2 years there and then looked great at Ohio State this season as well. Of course, this season he had a lot of competition. Travion Henderson's already off the board, and he looked great with him as a backfield mate. Good efficiency metric per touch. Not phenomenal on some of the more advanced metrics, but he's the type of guy who is going to be able to be a 3-down workhorse in the NFL, whether or not he gets the passing down work, because a guy like Travion Henderson, even a guy like Chase Brown might be better at a passing down role if this guy was to go to Cincinnati, for example, but he has the ability to be the 3-down back, right? He's just not necessarily a phenomenal pass catcher, just a competent one. And with the size that he has to carry a workload, like, I think there's going to be an NFL team that falls in love with this guy, and I am all in. He might be my guy when we do our My Guy episode.
Yeah, I do. I do love Quinn Judkins. Love, especially his final year in college. Helped carry the Buckeyes to a national championship. Had a great game, including a receiving touchdown, 2 rushing as well. So I'm not going to fault you for your case here. But my guy, one of my guys, who will be one of my guys when we do our My Guy episode, because if not, then who am I? I would be not holding true to myself. This is Luther Burden. I think JP and I both have made cases for him over the last few episodes, so I'm not going to go too in depth. If you would like a little deeper of a breakdown, go to those last 2 episodes. But give you the quick overview. He did have a rough 2024 campaign after a breakout in 2023. That being said, the dominator rating was very similar between the 2 years. The whole Missouri offense took a step back. He didn't excel as much as we wanted, and he showed some signs of regression that we don't like to see. You especially in college, you want to see guys getting better year after year. That's the knock on him. The good things, though, is this guy electric with the ball in his hands. Some insane missed tackles forced per attempt ratings. A lot of screen production. I know that's kind of something we're worried about. But he shows the upside in his route running. He shows the potential there. He just needs to refine it a little bit more. I think he needs some coaching there, and I think the coaches need to ask him to do these things. In college, you can get away with a lot more gimmicky stuff, and the coach at Missouri is worried about winning games at Missouri. So he's going to do what he can do to get the ball in Burden's hands, even if it doesn't paint the best statistical profile. So definitely high upside, low ceiling kind of pick here, but I believe in the player. I think he's going to put it together in the NFL. I think at worst he's a solid wide receiver too, but I think he has wide receiver 1 upside. Yeah, like I said, if you want a little bit more on the numbers and things, go back to the last couple episodes, but this is someone that I am a huge fan of and believe he will have a very successful NFL.
Yeah, I mean, Luther Burden, he appears to likely be a first-round pick, and if not, probably a top 40 pick. He's got size. He's got great movement ability. He had a 4.41 40-yard dash, speed score 88th percentile. And we know this guy is just great in the open field. I just think with the upside that he has, and I think with the floor, he's at least going to be a guy that a team's going to want to get the ball in his hands. So I think with the upside he presents and that draft capital that I think he's going to get, I think he's got to be the pick here. I think Judkins also has a path to be very, very good as well, but I just think that Burden's the better prospect right now.
All right. I cannot win this fight, it looks like. Can't disagree with taking a wide receiver if he ends up getting round 1 capital either. I know there's also a lot of guys that love this guy, so he probably will retain a lot of name value throughout the offseason and into the season as well. So a lot of liquidity there. Not bad advice taking him if you believe in him. Let us know what you think in the comments below, or if you would have taken somebody we did not make in our closing arguments. That being said, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Dino Construction Podcast. We hope you found this as helpful for you as it was for us. Please remember to like and subscribe wherever you listen or review. And from all of us here at the Dino Construction Podcast, until next time.